The list on page 28 is who we sent them to last time.
Yep.
If there was any that we should change, do we have to take one of them out if there's conflicts, or?
Is there conflicts in that list?
I'm not sure, is there a conflict?
All right, well, Berardi and Gottstein, Bill Berardi's my brother-in-law.
That's what I was asking.
And Bernadette's my attorney.
Huh?
Bernadette Ferrari's my attorney.
Is she?
Yep.
Berardi's the best
So,
name.
well, why aren't we just advertising it under public law? Just advertise it.
Yeah.
Do you wanna put an ad in the paper as well, is that what
Well,
you
I
want?
think you would have to put a notice for a meeting.
No, I don't know, I just know this is how it was done, the RFPs were sent to a specific account.
Well,
But we'll
let's get
take
a
out
determination from Joe Scott. And you could always solicit, say, hey, we only have 2. Does anybody know of anyone out there? But I gotta believe in some way, shape, or form, as a public entity, you have to open that process up.
Yeah, I'm sure there is another method, but then they also sent them to these as well.
Okay.
So we should still send them to these, right?
Yeah, and maybe find out how that list was compiled. and
What I'm telling you is
I
you should
can't
put it
find
in the newspaper.
Scott would know.
No, this was done by the Office of Economic Development.
Okay.
Suzanne.
Advertise that.
Yeah, and
You
then
have to.
advertise.
Yeah, I'm
You-
sure it does,
Okay.
yeah.
Don't you have to put it in 3?
Yes.
3 papers.
What papers are left? Huh.
I think. I don't-
Shawanga.
You got the Freeman, you got the Journal,
Freeman, yeah.
Yeah, the Journal,
and you
Yeah, I
got the
have
Daily
this
Record.
one.
and the Record.
Okay.
Yeah, and these were just, on page 29, it was just
Put
the
in the
prices
old.
that came back to us, in case you guys were curious.
All right,
Just so we had an idea when we get them back.
okay, and the timeline for this again, will these RFPs or the
It needs to be
notes-
done like ASAP,
Okay,
because they're gonna start doing their work probably in November for the 2020 year.
okay.
Think about what year we're in.
Right now. The year that won't end.
I know.
Yeah, okay. All right, so you're good and.
And
this
who
is
are
timely.
we using right now?
Patterson Koski, well, Patterson Koski, Halambucci, except they're now UHY LLP.
Why aren't we using the cheaper one, Oneonta?
I can't answer that, I didn't choose them.
This is 2014.
I know that, but,
I don't know.
yeah. Well, maybe we're not using them then. If
No,
it's
we are.
2014, oh, we are. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we should,
Oh,
we
yeah.
should check into, we should get another,
We use them continuously. Yeah, there were 2 cheaper ones, I can't answer that.
Yep, okay.
Well, at the end of the day, we're doing it for transparency's sake. You know, if you end up with someone that you're more comfortable working with, and it's de minimis amount, then you do what you have to do. But we owe the
Yeah.
public the opportunity to know this is how the process works.
And then the proposals come back to the board, full board for.
I like that.
That
And
sounds
selection,
good.
right?
I don't know if it would go back to.
No, I would have the committee come
Couple
back.
years. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I didn't know if it would go
I'm talking
through
about
the
the
audit
proposal.
committee first.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
but then yes.
right, so it's a board decision at the end of the day as well, who we select.
Mhm.
Yep, okay. All right. Anything else with audit, RP?
not on that.
Mike?
No.
Okay, great. You have everything you need, Rose?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. All right, next thing on the agenda is website review, page 30, and,
I added that in, I'm sorry, because I realized
I
after
know,
I talked to you.
so Rose and I we want you to do this.
But you and I had talked about it a little bit already, so I was like, we shouldn't be doing
We, Rose and I were in a training a couple months back and trying to understand, you know, in terms of what we need to do to be compliant, specifically related to the website. So there is certain information and records that need to be kept, et cetera, that Rose and I were going through the meeting and we were texting back and forth during it, do we have this, do we have that? And so essentially what you see on page 30 is a list of items that we need to put on the website to be in compliance. And so the estimated hours for Rose, or someone to do that would be just over 30 hours to get us compliant on the website in terms of information that we have available to the public. Rose, anything you want to add to that?
No, I just didn't want to go ahead and do it, even though it has to be done, just because we're looking at, as if if we have all of the information at our fingertips, we're looking at, our estimate was roughly 31 hours of work to try to get everything on the website. The problem is, we don't have all the information at our fingertips, because what the ABO requires is, honestly, it's a lot. You have to have every single project that we have, all these documents have to be on the website for them. And some of these projects are 15, 20 years old, so I don't have them necessarily. Some of them are here, and now Ariel and I met with Mark Ryder, and we're welcome to take them, but we're talking like 30 plus boxes downstairs here, 30 plus in my office. Plus, if we don't have them, some of them would have to come from Joe Scott's office, and they've requested they not be the first choice for getting the documents from, because it's a lot of work to go back and find them. So 31 hours if I have them all, and we don't. So again, I wanted to get an approval, because that's above and beyond our normal work every day as the administrative staff, so I don't wanna just be spending an extra $3,000 to $5,000 without talking to you guys.
Well,
That's
is
not my
there a
goal.
way you can get whatever you have and give it to somebody who's way less money an hour to input the information?
We had talked about we had talked about maybe getting like an intern
Yeah.
or finding somebody. The problem is you can't have somebody that's like you're paying on payroll. You don't have payroll. So you can't just pay somebody and making it up $15, $20 an hour to
So
do
we have
it.
to put it out to bid.
You'd have to put it out to bid to somebody that, and they'd have to be insured, et cetera.
So really, we're looking towards more of an accounting firm. Well,
No, yeah, I mean, but it's
We
gonna
could-
be,
it
it's,
could be,
it could be an intern
I had a
that
guy,
doesn't get paid.
we had a
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
that did it for the, union, transferred a bunch of boxes around when we were shredding documents, certain things had to be uploaded into the computers and everything, and filed. We had somebody give it.
I think we should reach out to the community, the college, and see if there's anybody that they could, an intern from the college who maybe needs it for credits or something, you know, where
Sort of
they're,
economic development.
something, yeah. There's gotta be tons of kids who can do this very quickly.
Well, they're not gonna do it faster than this, putting on the third. It's
Well, I
still-
mean, but I'm
but
saying
the-
they're savvy with, you know.
The bigger problem is gonna be finding all the
So
documents.
that's a question I have for you. So some of these things, we're going through the guidelines, right, from ABO.
Yeah,
Some of it is you need 2 years of records for certain things, 4 years on the website of other records. So we don't necessarily have to dig back into the
No,
basement
you
for
do.
everything.
you do, because it's all of our projects. It's 2 years after the project, no longer our project.
So
That's where the real problem
So
comes.
Okay,
if it's a 25-year pile, it's 27 years.
You have to have
28
it.
years,
Yeah.
Is there no flexibility, though, that we know of that's baked into this that, I
a
mean?
7-year statute.
Yeah, I mean.
No, there's not. As
exactly.
long as it's
You
a
don't have to
project,
pay
you have
taxes
to
for
have
7
this.
years,
Yeah.
right? You
Destroy that.
only have to keep paper of your taxes
Yeah,
for 7
And
years.
but-
we just went off your brow,
But this
right?
is a project that's continuously going for 25 years, so you
All right.
have to have the information as to how it got started.
You mean I could throw my taxes out that are 40 years old?
Yes.
I have both.
Anything older than 7
So,
years.
I got a question then.
Yeah.
Previous to this board,
You don't have to live in fear anymore. Sorry,
previous to
Mike.
this board, who handled that and monitoring that?
Yeah.
The Office of Economic Development, there was a lot that we had to put on the website already, but this was gonna be a huge project. That's why I didn't do it.
Right.
So ABO is gonna come down on us if this isn't done by the end of the year?
ABO has already written a report about us
Yeah.
not doing it several years ago, we
Yeah.
did it. And it's not by the end of the year.
So
It's-
what
it was
about a
supposed to be
discussion
7 years
to-
ago.
It was
What
clear.
about
that
a
we need
discussion
do this.
to-
Yeah.
to involve economic development?
To see if they'll do it because they were paid to do it, you mean?
We're gonna have
Okay.
to- If we have to, if we're
That's-
looking down the
that's
avenue to
Jim's
put it out to bid
department.
anyway.
That's Jim's department over there.
If we're looking down the avenue to put it out to bid anyway, and we have the resources here on this floor,
Can't eat it.
you know, I think that's something for discussion.
Well, it is, you know, it's a good idea, because it would certainly keep helping us to cement our new relationship with them, you know?
And I mean,
Do that too?
it's kind of past practice, right? Historically speaking.
Yeah, this is all old stuff, it's not the new stuff, any of the new ones we put on. Because we do them as we go, like Golden Hill's already up there.
So it
You
seems
have
to me
to
we
do it.
would reach back to them and ask for their help to get this, so we're compliant on the
Reach out to
website.
Lisa,
Yeah.
And see that they'll do it.
Mhm.
see what's up,
Yeah, just see what they say.
let's have a discussion.
Yep,
Okay,
all right.
it's okay. Okay.
Okay, so we come back to this question of getting the documents, but there's also a time issue, right? It's still the 30 hours of work.
And
too.
so 30 hours of them putting, if they could do it, they can put it up on the website, I can show them how.
All right,
But that's just to put it up on the website, that's not to find the
Right, that's
documents.
not the hundreds of hours of finding.
That's gonna be the
locating.
really
Have you gone to any of
terrible
these other IDA websites and seen if they're there?
Some of them are, some of them
Yeah.
aren't.
Okay, then
So-
we live by the rule of we'll do the best we can.
Yeah, and when Senator Scoofus was here, he did say like ours was one of the better ones.
yeah,
Good.
so
We
that's
do
what
have
I was
a-
trying to
So
get
what
at.
are they gonna
Just
do to
it.
us if we don't have it done?
Probably put you in jail then.
That's okay, I need a break from real estate, let me
Yeah,
tell you.
before you go, Faye, I found a pretzel in this.
So you can, I mean,
Smuggle
we
that
can
in.
ask
Okay.
economic development and then go from there,
Why don't we do
whether or
that?
not you wanna do it. I have to tell you, this is what's required, we're not doing it.
Okay,
Okay,
I
well,
just wanna
you
make
know,
you
when,
aware.
here's what I'm telling you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
When New York State comes and makes an issue of it, the ABO say, listen, I'd like to see all the documentation, the letters you sent to every existing IDA in this state who's not up to code. And if that's not the case, then I suggest you take that one and tear it up.
Please provide us a detailed,
Yeah, I kinda tend to agree with Jim on this,
With the
because
years
it's
of
like, we got enough to
1974
deal
to
with
date.
without having to
I
deal with
know,
all
it's a
this.
lot, that's a lot.
You
You
know,
know, it's
or
like-
make the suggestion that we come up with a date. Say it's
If
2000.
if they say something, yeah.
Yeah,
so we have
2000.
30 boxes up here of information, is what you're saying
There's
now?
a 30-something, and then I have 30-something in my office as well.
So there's a lot of information there. So I think maybe
Well, I don't
reach
understand why
out
you're dragging
and,
your feet, Russ.
and see if we can find it, and in turn, that would be the ideal situation. to find
Less
an
is not
intern
more
to
in this
input
case.
everything.
Yeah, so,
So-
all right, so find intern, reach out to economic folks, do the best you can.
Okay.
And
Let
don't
us
spend a
know
lot
how
of
it
time.
goes next time we meet.
Sounds good?
All right, thanks. All right, okay, and that ends our new business. So we have to review current policies and look through and make sure, see if there's any recommendations that we want to make and send back to governance. I don't expect to get through all of these, just a few today. We have put on the agenda, worked with Rose to put these more in an order of importance in terms of more timely things related to Rose work, et cetera. So my expectation is we'll get through fee schedule policy, respecting uniform criteria in travel and discretionary funds, and then we'll pick back up with the background check policy at our next audit meeting. Okay? So the fee schedule guidelines on page 48. All right.
I think the main focus for what we had sent back from governance was, and the reason it had come up really was, I think we've done a lot to go through this over the last year or two. The major, I would guess, issue would be the transfer of ownership of an existing project. So right now, it literally says, the agency's project fee is at minimum $3,000. That's a lot of leeway. So we were looking to tighten that up a little bit. So what we had thought was 1% of the change in project value, and then Diane had come up with, or like a percentage based on, a percentage of that 1% based on how much the pilot changed or based on other changes, and I just wanted to firm up the wording.
So for the program fee schedule, we have the fee for new projects and then for existing projects, right? So we have the 3,000 for existing projects, 3,000 as it's written in this policy
Yes.
right now.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about is for the new projects, and this came up because of the Golden Hill project. And given the concessions that were made through pre-assessment and talking to the board and other conditions that we've been discussing and negotiating with Golden Hill, it seemed reasonable that, given the concessions that they had made and were willing to make, that we move off of a 1% and instead look at what would be reasonable given the concessions. And so we are proposing that there's a 0.5% up to a 1% program fee, depending on the project itself, and leaving it at the discretion of the board, given the nuances of any particular project, to use this as a range for setting the program fee
This is for new projects?
for new
Well,
projects.
yeah, the transfer of ownership of an existing project. So like Golden Hill was already a project.
Right.
But
they
it's
sold-
considered a new project when
Oh,
Yes,
well, you
but
got
it's on this chart,
Categories here, so which category
it's
is
the
it?
transfer of ownership.
Transfer, okay,
Yeah.
transfer,
Yeah.
got it.
It's
Okay.
considered a new project for ABO reporting.
Right,
yeah.
But
So
it's,
there's only 2 years
yeah.
left on a pilot.
right, and something like that matters too, yeah.
Well, that's important as well.
Yeah.
so should there be a little matrix design?
Yes.
That will, all these bullet
Sure,
points?
what kind of points, like should,
Well, like how many years left, what they're paying, how many
Years
years.
left.
The difference between the initial value of the pilot based on, like you say, this value of property up there, when they purchased it from the county versus the price point that's
Yeah.
been created now.
Staffing changes, so we just do something for staffing changes as well, and some of them, it might, this one was an
But
extreme.
we're not gonna have that lateral ability on every other project. We have it here.
Mhm.
Because it's a continuation.
No, but some of them like Woodland, Golden Hill, forgetting the RN CMA stuff, they were only committed to 279 employees, and 2019 they had 330. So if it transferred, we don't want them to go back to 279, we want them to
Right,
maintain.
I mean, the
right?
promise of the tax incentive was having a certain amount of employees, no
Well,
matter
no
what the
reduction in
company
workforce.
is.
You know, and
Yeah.
again, there's other stuff that may or may not be involved in, you know, when you say the board's discretion, there may be things that come up before you
Yeah,
that would necessitate a drop of 15 jobs. You have to be able to take that into account.
Right.
yeah.
And that's the reason for the flex in
I
this.
mean, the
you know,
Golden
from
Hill
time
thing
to
here,
time.
this is more quality of life than anything else.
Like IE?
Yeah, each individual one is going to demand something different.
Right, that's why there should be.
So that's why
some
it's
kind
a
of-
little bit hard, I mean, there are some things we could put, like a matrix type.
Well, some things are
But
concrete, the difference,
some
you know,
things you can't,
your
yeah.
baseline is the different valuation. The minutia part of it, well, like I said, okay, so you take this one that was 11 million.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe you take into account that they put another 9 in capital improvements. So instead of saying 11 and 40, now you're saying 20 and 40. So there's, you know, but you've got to create a baseline, a floor
Okay.
I
kind
gotta
of
go
thing,
now.
and I think
Take a break.
the dollar value, I don't know, Mike, what do you think?
Well, I think it should be based on a dollar value too. But I also think it's hard for me because I would like to see something written in there and certain, if we're gonna go with some kind of a matrix at that point, something stating that, you know, provide, you get X amount of points. I don't even know how to state that because everything's gonna be different. I'd like to see it so
You
there's no
can't-
reduction in workforce. It's almost like it's gotta be,
Well, you've got to quantify why there's going to be a reduction in workforce. I mean,
yeah, I mean, if there's something in there, you know, pandemic-wise, you know, reduction, but perfect example is Golden Hill is an anomaly at this point because the pandemic really doesn't affect that. I mean, people are still there with needing care, but what's that, you know, if you have a business that has 50
I
people
think
in
there
it,
should be just a series
shut
of
it down.
questions, not so much points, but questions that
Yeah.
is left up to our discretion.